Alan's decided that we're going to use this aircraft under his supervision for me to learn a bit more about metal skin aircraft. Now, I won't lie, this is the third or fourth one that I've inspected under Alan's guise. So he's promptly thrown the paperwork in front of me. And so I thought, well, why not? Let's go and show you a bit of the other side that you guys probably don't see and might not be aware of, that goes on as part of your inspection. Okay, let's start. Okay, so one of the big parts of the inspection process is not just the aircraft and the aircraft's condition, it is also the paperwork. Now, depending on who you speak to, namely us, the aircraft is all about the paperwork. The paperwork will give you a very good indication of not just how well that aircraft's been maintained, but also varying servicing. It will list any repairs, maintenance. And I can assure you, on some of the paperworks or the aircraft paperworks that we've been given, shall we say, aren't necessarily ideal. And so we get a very good indication straight away of how well the aircraft is being maintained. Everything's in the order. I've got a nice presentation here of the logbooks, and I can see that pretty much we've got a very detailed, everything's in orders. As it needs to be. Paperwork side seems to be great. So for me, certainly as an inspector, this is a very promising sign. So this is the form that we're using. This is the BMEA inspection permit to fly inspection worksheet, and again, it's all about the worksheet, and it's nothing to do particularly with the aircraft side of things. Like I say, it's all data, so registration, what type of aircraft it is, what were its hours at the end of the year, serial numbers, date of last weighing. We also then need to compare that to the CAA register to make sure that the information that we've got is the same as the information that they've got. So that's another one in there. Even down to, and I've just seen it, which is why I want to go down to, even down to the TADS, so the type approved data sheet. So I can see that there's a copy in there. I'll go through that on why that's important, but again, I can see that there's a printed copy. I need to make sure that the one that's in this file is the same as the one that's available on the BMEA. So the first thing it's asking us to do is to obtain the logbook, which I've done. Now, I use that as my first cue and I work my way back. And so I need to record the start of the inspection, so we rubber stamp it, worth its weight in gold. And record that we've started the inspection, and then I work my way back to see the level of maintenance, any histories. I can see the battery's been replaced, and there's a squidgy brake, starboard brake has been topped up and refilled, so that'll relate to the airframe service that we did before. And I start to make a note of some of the things on there on when the airframe service has been done, and airframe and when. And certainly looking through on this, it looks like the airframe maintenance has been very well maintained. I have a small question that I need to ask on the weight report, because it was last done in 2016, so I just want to ask the question on that one as well. But what I'm also looking for is this. So I think I showed you this earlier. This is the TADS information. And if you're unsure what I mean by TADS, so you either get TADS or HADS, so type approved or amateur built, home built aircraft. And these data sheets are available on the BMEA website or whichever your governing body. And they tell you all the specific information that's relevant to your aircraft. So this is the data sheet. So what is its maximum takeoff weight? Well, according to its TADS, it's written here. How many seats is it permitted? What's its maximum wing loading? And all of the information that you would like to know about your aircraft is submitted and held on record here. It is a CAA document. So it is something that we need to legally abide by, and also everything that's in here, placards, but more importantly as well, certainly on the side for me, because this is an aircraft we've not seen before, are things like the MPD, so mandatory permit directives. They're the things that must be done, and service bulletins, and they're the things that are recommended unless it's followed by a mandatory. And so what I need to do is go through the logbook to make sure that these mandatory permit directives and the service bulletins have all been carried out and they've been listed in the logbook. If not, I've got to assume that they haven't been done, and I'll need to go and check them. So that's that. Things I'm looking for is the registration document. I've got that, and it's the current one. I'm checking that the information that's on that is the same with the CAA. I've done that, so that's okay. Done. Permit to fly, or CAV, certificate of validity, and noise certificate. So I've got those here as well. So that's okay. Registration good. Permit to fly. Now, whilst I'm looking at these permit to fly things, there's a bit, and certainly looking at this aircraft, there's a bit on there which gets skirted over quite a lot. And so your aircraft is issued a permit to fly, which is what we fly under, based on certain conditions, and depending on the aircraft, there will be more, but normally there are, most aircraft now have 4 conditions. I've seen up to 8, but we started removing them and combining them. And the bit that I wanted to draw your attention to is probably the first one. This aircraft shall be maintained in an airworthy condition. Now the word shall there, it's not a must or recommended or should, it's a shall, meaning it must be done. And the second point, the aircraft shall be operated in accordance with the current procedures, limitations contained in the applicable technical publications and with the manufacturer's instructions for the type and model of aircraft. Not only does that relate to how you fly it, as in not doing daft things and make sure that you're operating with the limitations, but it also relates directly to the aircraft servicing. Airframe servicing, engine servicing. And so by not maintaining your aircraft, you're actually voiding your permit to fly. Now, as an aircraft owner, you are, certainly a Microlight, you are well within your operator rights to carry out the majority, if not all, of the maintenance on your aircraft all by yourself. However, whatever you do does need to be listed in the logbook. And so if it's not in the logbook, technically it hasn't happened. So make sure that if you do any work at all, whether it's inflate the tyres, whether it's change the battery, whether it's do some work on the hydraulic systems, write it in there. And again, Eurostar, Sky Rangers, C42s, all of those have great manuals and great maintenance sheets and worksheets. Print it out, fill it out, that's what they want it. And then you could submit this into your paperwork so that when I come along or another inspector comes along and starts trawling through your paperwork, it says in there, 100-hour airframe service carried out, see worksheet that's dated. Yes, and then you are operating within your permit to fly conditions.